Welcome back to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast, where we talk about how operators can use technology to grow their business. In today's episode, we're joined by a culinary craftsman and a titan of the table, Peter De Bruyn, with a red seal in professional cooking and a compass for commercial success. Peter has seasoned the industry with over 30 years of experience, from orchestrating kitchens in full-service restaurants to elevating hotel dining to new heights as executive chef at the Strathcona Hotel. His journey is nothing short of a masterclass in hospitality. Peter is also the chairman of the board at BCRFA, the BC Restaurant and Food Services Association. Peter, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for that introduction. I'm very humbled. Happy to be here.
Jose, you've met Peter in the past. This is my first time meeting Peter. Do you guys have a background?
But yeah, it's been more than a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, that's great. I think Modern was a part of the sponsorship for Victoria Dine Around for many years, and right into the pandemic when third-party delivery was probably the lifeline of the industry, and quite a few conversations around that time. So
That's right.
Is Dine Around still happening? Can we talk
Dine
a little
Around
bit
is
about...
happening. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's going to be a gala launch this year on Thursday, January 25th at the Carson Hall behind the Empress. And then there'll be the 2.5 week dining event right after that, 26th to the 10th of February.
That's fantastic.
So it's in full force, the gala event, and lots of restaurants signing up. So it should be fantastic.
When did Dine Around start around?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember it was actually Michelle Lesage, who's at the Marriott Hotel now, who started it. And I think there were about 12 restaurants. I was working at Milestones at the time. I remember walking a rack and roll across the street over to the convention center and a few restaurants getting together and serving some food. So I would say loosely 25 years.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it goes back as far as I can remember. I'm a Victoria boy, and yeah, Dine Around was always a super cool experience, and I just really enjoyed trying all the participating restaurants. That was really great.
Yeah, it's great. It is Dine Around and Stay in Town for Victoria, so there was the hotels as well participating, so you can come in from abroad and stay a hotel night, and everything's with set rates and so on. So I think it's great.
That's awesome. Is it still like the coupon book? Is that's still how it's done, or
there's no coupon book? You go to the Destination Greater Victoria website. You can look at menus and decide where to dine, and they're all increments of $10, starting at $25 for a 3-course meal, which of course is probably a bargain in these days.
No kidding.
Up to 65. So there's some, a wide variety of different options.
So Peter, I understand that you were just coming out of a webinar on AI in food service. I think that was hosted by Data Essential. Can you tell us a little bit about that event? Like what sort of stood out to you?
Their webinars are just packed full of information. So, the last slide, I think, had the predictions of where AI are going with food service. The things I found, the takeaway there were, the understanding of personalized nutrition. You have an AI, you can take maybe a blood sample or something, and you can understand yourself what kind of nutrition you need that day. And you can get, through whatever means, prepare your food, and you're going to get the maximum nutrition you need. A few words here. Maybe I don't really fully understand them anymore. Sentient flavor agents.
I'm sorry, what?
Sentient flavor agents, autonomous agriculture, sensorial virtual dining, gene editing, molecular food printers. I think there's that whole idea that, you can make a 3D printer by adding, food at its base level into it and then producing food that way. I mean, we're talking decades in the future here, but,
Sure.
It's good to see where we're going with it.
They're already preparing us for that. There was a series called Upload. It was all about printing the food and making sure that you were patient enough, and that's what people were gathered around the machine.
Yeah. So I guess Jean-Luc Picard will get his Earl Grey.
I was waiting for the Next Generation reference there, the Star Trek, food simulator or whatever that was. That sounds like that's not in the not too distant future. I'm still waiting on an actual hoverboard, to be honest with you. I think everyone's disappointed that that's not a thing just yet, but wow, that just sounds like incredibly futuristic.
For sure.
So moving forward here, Peter, in your experience, how has technology changed the food service industry from back when you first started to now that we're talking about simulating food with artificial intelligence intelligence and all of these crazy tools.
Yeah, it's come a long ways from putting a roast in the oven and, checking your clock and taking it out. I think food has become more efficiently produced from manufacture. The agriculture equipment is more efficient. Manufacturers making ready-to-eat foods is much more efficient. They're more creative. You can, I've made comments of this. You could probably use your supplier, purchase food that's pretty much reheat, and it's all a go. From your chicken wings, chicken burgers, beef, fully cooked, everything in there. So it's come a long ways. That might be not ideal, but it is certainly there. I think back of house processes, inventory management from, paper and pencil and scratching your head to iPads and entries and automatic invoice entry and scanning bottles and so on. It's come a long ways in that perspective. Product ordering, you don't need to even talk to anybody. You just order your food through online applications. You don't have to call with order numbers and make sure that the process has gone through correctly. Financial reporting tools and things like that with POS, I believe there's a lot of information in businesses' POSs that they could use to really analyze their business and figure out where, what decisions they could make to be more profitable, or even, just for lack of a better way to put it, stay profitable or stay afloat in these days.
Yeah, exactly. Jose and I talk about this quite a bit, leveraging data, especially derived from your POS system. Do you think the average restaurateur today has the resources or the know-how to leverage that data from POS systems?
Definitely the change, and the larger corporations will. I think, there's an interesting statistic. I think it came from Restaurants Canada that 80% of restaurants in BC are actually family owned that have, under 3 employees. And those restaurants, might not know what they're capable of. And those are the ones that will, need to understand that, or, fully understand if that's something that they require, or they're happy producing their food, making their money and running the business.
So like from artisanal to, I think that technology always starts with the big brands and then it becomes more available for the rest, right? So
That's right.
There's definitely a case for data management and make it extremely easy for restaurateurs to make decisions and actually also enjoy the power of optimizing their operations and all that stuff. I think that is always fascinating. So what advice would you give operators about adopting new technology into their operations?
I believe an operator needs to understand, okay, where's the problem? Where's the problem with their business? Yeah, they might be the cook, but not, the salesperson. Okay, how can I get technology to help build sales? Or, I don't know where my costs are. I need technology in this area. I think it's understanding where your problem is. And once you understand that, you'll know what technology you need to go with. That would be the first step. The second step would be to ensure the staff understand how to use it. So if I bring something in to my restaurant and it's technology, I would only add one at a time. Make sure everybody knows how to use it until it becomes sort of a habit and a daily routine. Okay, this is our application. We're using this. We're going to use this dining room table software, and we're going to just focus on that for the next month, and or maybe a few months until everybody gets it and understand how to use it. And a few other comments in there would be, is this technology you're going to add, how is that going to benefit the customer experience? So it's thinking about the customer first. Is, maybe you have long lineups, you have no table management, you can't seat the tables. Okay, now I need dining room management software so I can help get those people into the seat quicker, right? So that's going to enhance the customer experience. Inventory management might be a bit of a stretch there to enhance the customer experience, but what it does is it gives you a tool to give consistent recipes, consistent costing. And, if you're going to serve that dish each time, it's got to be 100%, consistent. And that helps you. So it does help the customer each time.
And managing costs also helps, gives a wider capacity for understanding or giving offers or changing up, right? If you get more revenue and more profits at the end, you can reinvest more. You can keep your staff even happier. Happy staff, happy customer.
Oh, exactly. 4-ounce chicken breast, if it's 4 to 6 ounce and you're serving at 6 ounce sometimes, you're leaving, a couple bucks on the table each time if it's not cut properly. So it's important.
Exactly. Peter, Jose and I talk about a complicated tech stack, and you were touching on not introducing technology too quickly so as to overwhelm the staff and operations as a whole. What sort of the cadence there? What is a good routine to introduce new technology, and how much time does the average restaurateur have to spend learning new technology?
Well, the first answer on most restaurateurs, they have no time, working, 50 to 70 hours a week. If the technology, say, takes away 5 hours a week, I mean, that's a win, right? So I would say that's specific to each business, specific to the employees there. If the employees are more tech savvy and open to change, the whole culture is a bit more dynamic in that sense. They could probably take on some technology quicker and easier versus, somebody who's, this is the way we do it. We're not changing. Well, it might take a little longer. That's all.
We're just reading some statistics from QSR magazine, and the employee turnover is sort of generational right now, and the average new restaurant employee is between 25 and 35, and so they're seeing, from a macro standpoint anyways, they're seeing technology being adopted a little bit quicker than in years past, and that obviously that is probably likely due to a more tech adept employee on average. I don't know if you have any thoughts on how employees are adopting the technology. Are they receiving it well? What are your thoughts on that?
Within that demographic and going into quick service restaurants, it could be a first job, maybe a second job. It's the basis. You're going to walk in and go, okay, well, this is the way it is. It's different than, say, when I started 35 years ago. The technology will be there. They're already understanding the technology. They're already on a FaceTime with their friends, no matter where they are in the world. It's just a part of life, whereas it might be a bit of a stretch for somebody a little older. So they can probably take on more technology quicker. The technology in quick service restaurants, you're touching on the labor issues, and labor is a challenge right now, finding people, retaining people, and it probably goes right back to artificial intelligence and in quick service restaurants and how they're adapting to, that order taker might be actually AI taking your order with your burgers, fries, going through your drive-through, so you're not actually talking to somebody. It might remove a person that's required in the business. Let me get it straight here. We're not taking away jobs. It's solving a problem that there isn't people to work in that sector, and then perhaps that person that you finally come into contact with to do your transaction payment with is got more time for customer service, which is enhancing that experience. So you don't need a lot of customer service to, hey, I need a shake and two burgers, but you do when you do the transaction, and you still have that customer smiling at you when they hand you the bag through the window. And here you go, have a great day.
I think that it makes a lot of sense. I was watching the other day some of the systematic and some of the tools just at a local McDonald's as I was waiting for food. And you can see the ease of using them. Like, I don't know, it feels different, comfortable. And actually my experience when receiving the food is one of my favorite. And also I've seen that there is a more personalized, and I talk about them because, they're leading in technology in so many ways, so many things that most people don't even know. Some robotics in their production line, some geofencing to identify when the guest is coming close. Their app is extremely powerful, and so I can see how that helps and improves the quality.
McDonald's is all in the news these days. I think that they are upping their prices, and that's not the only reason why they're in the news, but they're upping their prices, and they're also going after a different customer, a little bit more of a higher end customer, which is really interesting and probably deserves a podcast on its own. That McDonald's is going higher end.
Yeah, in our previous episode, we talked about how that market share from fast casual, right?
Exactly. So, Peter, what do you think it will take for quick service restaurants to be successful in 2024? It's right around the corner. What do you think it's gonna take for QSRs to be successful?
Solving labor, as we discussed, efficiency in workers. So if there's technology or items that can enhance different workloads and make it easier, that will be a win. Consumer loyalty, it's probably branches into what you're just talking about, McDonald's and, expanding their demographic. It probably has to do as well with, all food prices have gone up. To digress here a little bit, I think food prices at grocery stores have gone up a lot greater rate than they have at restaurants. And the restaurants have increased not at the same degree, probably because of the competitive marketplace. Most restaurants I talk to, they don't want to raise prices until they have to, until that income statement just doesn't make sense. So they'll raise those prices. So what that does is, if you're going to go dine, you're probably going to look at a more cost-effective way. So your frequency might change a little bit to quick service more often than full dining, just the nature of the trends that we're seeing. That's sort of data-filled trends. So you could see probably more dining, more takeout and delivery, more efficiency in order taking at quick service restaurants. I think you discussed that in your Wendy's, the quantity of, efficiency in orders they can produce, then the kitchen's running, what doesn't make a big deal to put on 3 burgers versus 2. And that's where the profit comes in.
Yeah. It's like we also touched on revenue management as a big topic in the last episode, and those efficiencies and understanding where the new profits could be. And that gray area between fast casual and QSR, it's where there's possibilities for both.
Absolutely.
So if there was a takeaway for quick service restaurants, in your mind, it would be optimizing operations, looking to technology, adjusting prices.
I think we need to look at employee retention.
Absolutely.
And all the tactics used for employee retention. I think we all know it costs a lot more to recruit than it does to retain.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Peter, this has been a lot of fun, and it's definitely got the wheels turning about what it's going to take for restaurateurs to be successful in 2024. So thank you for sharing. Now's your time to plug away. How can people learn more about BC RFA membership, or how can they contact you about restaurant consulting?
BCRFA, www.bcrfa.com. That's the Restaurant Association for British Columbia. And you can find me, Peter at DeBruynConsulting.com is my email address. I have a LinkedIn, Facebook. Please reach out. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Peter. We'll include your details in the podcast description. Speaking of sponsorship, this podcast is sponsored by Dine Pricing, real-time restaurant profitability. Dine Pricing uses artificial intelligence to improve profitability for restaurants by dynamically updating menus across digital channels like DoorDash, like Uber Eats, like Skip the Dishes. The list goes on. That's all the time we have on this episode. Until next week, say goodbye, Jose.
Goodbye, Jose.
Peter, thank you so much. This was incredible. Thank you for coming out and participating here.
Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Care.